Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Traffic Talks Champions League review, which will not be continuing for this season because tonight Manchester United were beaten 3-2 by RB Leipzig in Germany, putting in pretty much one of the most low-par performances a United team could have ever put out, and has left me very deeply frustrated. I will be doing this solo tonight because while I would appreciate having different views and different points of interest shared across the team, and it's also because at short notice, I'm sure like everybody else, they're all rattled, angry and frustrated like I am. It wouldn't be wise to get them on to voice their concerns anymore on a night like tonight. So we'll give them time, and hopefully they'll be able to join us for the Manchester City preview, which will be coming up later this week. However, where do you begin with that game in Germany? I spoke to you yesterday on the preview to this game that we don't do well with match day 6 normally when there are points on the line. Very often, when it gets to this game, Manchester United struggle. It's happened 3 times before tonight. And it's already happened once before in Germany when we went to Wolfsburg 5 years ago and lost 3-2. Similar scoreline, similar performance. The difference that night was that we were in front and let Wolfsburg back into the game. Tonight, we fell behind so early that we weren't even we didn't look like we were off the bus yet. We didn't look like we were in any shape or form prepared for the task in front of us. And this team have shown once more, once they take steps forward, they take maybe, it doesn't matter how many, when they take any step forward, it always leads with 2, 3, 4 steps back. This one is 1 step back too many. And it's also 1 step back too many, in my opinion, for me as a fan. To handle this constant difficulty to understand why this team, despite all of the money spent, despite all of this pressure put on the manager who lacks experience, who cannot make a style of football work for anybody in that team, when he brings in one influencing player and tries to transform our fortunes, it all suddenly goes to the dogs when that player gets into trouble, or he gets into the riffraff that is his agent talking nonsense before a game of such high magnitude as this. It didn't help that this news came out 24 hours ago. Right as we were just about to record the preview, we heard the news. And for me, that didn't help us as a fan base to build confidence and some hope for tonight's game. The game itself, as I've said, we were quite literally abject, poor, and looked out of it before it even began. To be 2 goals down in 15 minutes, it was ridiculous. Though it happened against Southampton, and we recovered in that game, I thought we'd learned our lesson. But unfortunately, this isn't the Premier League. This is not average team in the Premier League you play every week. It's the Champions League. It's against a team that got to the semi-finals last season, who, yes, very young, but can handle the big occasion. This team failed. They failed at the one night when it really mattered. They failed our fan base. They failed me. They failed not just my feelings, of course, don't matter as much as the next person's. But at the same time, it stems back to something I said on my own channel, which I very rarely upload on, earlier in the season. It stems back to the manager not being backed. But then you also have to point the finger at the manager. While I've supported him, while I've given him all my hopes and beliefs that he's able to handle the stress of taking such a fragmented side into a very difficult season, He has on numerous occasions showed, not just this season, but last season as well, that he lacks tactical know-how. He lacks the ability to adjust when he's under pressure. A prime example of this was tonight. He went with 5 at the back, trying to employ the same tactic that worked against Paris in the first game. But this time around, because Nagelsmann is such a smart coach, because he's so tactically intelligent, he's able to adjust the team to his liking so that they can play to his strengths. And sure enough, tonight he exploited that 5 at the back. I'm sure when he made that team talk and saw the team that Ollie picked out tonight, that he licked his lips at those opportunities to have extra players flying into the penalty area. I said it yesterday, Haidara and Angelino, the 2 players that have bundles of energy and love to run up and down the pitch, were going to exploit us if we didn't deal with them properly. And straight away, we went behind after 3 minutes. The way we went behind as well, where there's nothing. It's one of those moments where you're helpless as a fan. You watch your team just dither and dally, and when the ball lands at the Spaniard's foot, there's barely shit that happens. Absolute dog happens. No one's really committed to stop the ball going in the net. No one's out there to block the cross. Yeah, it could possibly lead to no goal. At least bloody try. At least flipping try and get to the ball. The second goal wasn't any better. It was a cross into the box, which bounced over everybody because one man was literally behind the other. I'm sure Ortegas were literally horizontal, not vertical. You're supposed to be in a line, not side to side to each other. This isn't the first time this has happened, where 2 fullbacks are literally line astern. It happened against Brighton early in the season when we won 3-2. That same scenario happened, and it was not snuffed out then. He's let the same mistake happen twice, and this time it's led to the second goal, where we shouldn't have let that one get to the back post. No point. No point at all. Had that ball reached the back post, not a soul should be near it. In whites, it should be covered by Alex Telles. Shaw should cover the space where Telles is standing and being able to clear that ball up the field. He shouldn't have to do that, having to come into the space that Shaw's leaving behind. They're horizontal. Fullbacks are horizontal, not vertical. Defenders are supposed to be in a line, not in flipping zigzags. It doesn't work like that. And I was only 2 after 15 minutes. We didn't look in any way, shape, or form ready to get back into the game. What's worse is, though, we created so many chances that regardless of how bad the performance is, we weren't able to convert any of them. Half the chances we had tonight are ones we score against average Premier League teams. We score them against your mid-table side or your low relegation fodder. You play against that, you create those similar chances, they go in. But in this competition, you must be clinical no matter what. And it is because of that tonight, regardless of how our comeback went, we're out of the competition. The third goal personifies it perfectly. When your keeper doesn't commit, when your centre-back makes a mistake, and prior to that, before the ball went into the box, it's even to the point where you lose possession in midfield. You're losing possession in midfield of all places. When you're supposed to be keeping the ball, playing it to your teammate, instead of selling them short. And that led to the third goal. Once they picked up the ball in the middle, it was just a matter of dealing with the panicked United defence, who was shocked that we lose the ball in midfield like that. I was equally as astounded, but did I expect anything more? No. I expected nothing more than them to squander possession and allow Justin Kluivert to outfox our goalkeeper and put it in the net. Shambolic goalkeeper from De Gea yet again. But it's nothing new. We're used to this by now, apparently. Come back to me doesn't matter. Penalty, in my opinion, was never a penalty. But we got it and we scored. We got another one from a corner. But did that really help our cause to get back into the game? No, it didn't. In the end, we've shot ourselves in the foot. It goes back to night in Istanbul. We played absolute shite there, and we've cost our spot in the last 16 because of it. Paris at home, I kind of glossed over that because that game was a whole shudder of mess. Yes, we were back in the game there, but we still played poorly that night, and lots of things went wrong. Too much went wrong there to be solely on that game. It's all on the night in Istanbul for me. That night in Istanbul when we lost 2-1, when we let 50 people. We had 50 people in the opposing box and just one on the touchline waiting for the ball to come to him, and he covered the yards like it was nothing. Absolute joke. Absolute joke. I can't understand the logic behind these players who just don't want to turn up on the big occasions when it really matters. We can't keep getting miracles like this. Comebacks can't keep happening this season. We're scraping the barrel here. Now we've dropped into the Europa League again. And I said it before, I'll say it again. While I don't mind just being in that competition, because that's more of a likely competition that we can win, it's practically our level. The team is not demonstrating that at Champions League standard, proper standard, they can maintain consistency in the competition. And it's pretty much damaged every bit of hard work we made last season to get into the competition on the final day. We literally rested all our hopes on beating Leicester. Leicester in the Champions League this season wouldn't have put such a shocking performance in like this. And we've done that this season, yet again. History repeats itself, and I hate to see it. I hate to see it. If we lost 4-0 tonight and played like shit and dropped out into the Europa League that way, I would have understood there and then no reason to keep them on as manager. I wouldn't understand the reason to keep some of the players that play at this club. I'd understand it. At the same time, though, this team is lacking so much passion. It's lacking so much belief. It's lacking so much in basic knowledge that you just start to think, are they even good enough to play for United? Half this team wouldn't get into most of the top 6. That's, for me, that's an honest thing. Half of this team, they're like, I will name and shame them after you. Lindelof is an example. Luke Shaw tonight, coming back from injury. Apparently, he's our best left back. But does he perform to a high standard every week? He wouldn't get into half the top 6 teams, in my opinion. Not a chance. He wouldn't at all. Harry Maguire has had a weight on his shoulders. While I appreciate he's had a very difficult 2020, and I mean it greatly, he's had such unnecessary pressure put on him as captain, apparently, and also by the fact that he's carrying such a heavy burden on his back. Just take the armband off him. Let him play football instead of making him the standout figure. Just because the centre-back is captain doesn't mean they're all leaders. They're just very disciplined players that know how to do their job at the back. Fuck's sake, man. It doesn't make any sense why we put him as like the focal point every single time. It really doesn't make sense. Robbie Fraser's got a question. It's a bold one, but he says, where do we go now? Do we sack the Oli or sell players? I am not going to lie to you, Robbie. It is a shout and a half. Half of this team should go. In my opinion, honestly, half this team should go. I'm shocked that, yet again, I've got to talk about the mongrels upstairs that run this club, because they simply do not understand the basic knowledge of how to run a football team. It's so difficult for them, apparently, to back the manager when he asks for something. He wants a player, you go out and get him, you try to make sure he feels comfortable at his new club, and you get the best out of him on the pitch as much as you possibly can. But if you have, I hate to say this, but while I have supported him, he has shown numerous times that he lacks tactical knowledge. So if Jadon Sancho came, if Dale Upamecano came, and if Erling Haaland came to Manchester United, all three of them would probably be the next big things in world football playing for Manchester United. But would they be able to understand the tactics or the style of play Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is asking them to do? I doubt they would. It begs the question of, does the big name manager handle these moments better than Ole would? You start to question it. I have serious doubts about Saturday, let alone the rest of the season, because the immediate future is Manchester City, and the way we are playing tonight doesn't in any shape or form fill me with hope that we'll get any result against them. It looks the one way and one way only. We missed people tonight, yes, but that at the same time doesn't mean we stand a chance. And we lack something in this club. We lack something that will help us get there. It may not be a player, it may not be a DOF, but something is missing. Something is missing to the Man United that I know can do much better than this. It could stem from the manager, it could stem from the players, it could stem from absolutely anybody, but they are all to blame for this. They are all to blame for tonight's performance. They're all to blame for the fact that we couldn't beat a team from Turkey who have many ex-Premier League players and put in a measured and much better performance against Manchester United in a game that United had to win because of how fragile this team is when they go behind sometimes. They just can't handle the pressure somehow. They just can't do it. It's too much for some, and it's too much for others. It's too much for the manager as well, apparently. He just can't do it. He lacks something. He lacks something that can get him through hard times. Comebacks against Southampton and West Ham are like a golden many pennies. You will not find one in like ages, and I doubt we'll be able to play. We'll play like this again this season. I really doubt it. So, frankly, this is for me the end of the line in terms of this team. The manager, I'm at my breaking point. I feel like Ollie's, for me, I've given him enough chances. I've given Ollie enough time. I can't believe that he's let this happen. But I feel now, if he is to be the coach for the remainder of this season, that this one should be his last. That it's hard for me to say that because I have been one of the hardcore men to have backed him since he joined us in 2018. And he's done so much for Manchester United. It pains me for me to say that he should move on and go and chase another dream. Because if he can't find it with us, his best luck is elsewhere. So I don't know how he can recover this season without us faltering multiple times over. It's so difficult for me to find the reasons that I can back him after a performance like this tonight. 2 goals in the last 10 minutes is not enough. We should have been backing them up ages before that and taking our chances ages before that, rather than having to leave it late again. It's not always going to work. Yes, it worked once in a magical night, but it was more fate that night than just fortune. People are in the right place at the right time sometimes, and when it does happen, it's wonderful. But on other days, you just got to let it go. And it's just the matter. Some of these players just aren't up to the task of putting their bodies on the line, of putting their souls, their actual determination to chase something and actually fight for their own livelihoods. Half of these players earn more than the average doctor would make in a year, and it's disgusting that they perform like this on a football pitch when when the healthcare workers deserve more than that. They deserve more than these players. Absolutely. They work harder than them. They do more than for the world than them. For me, it's just bullshit that they have got this far and they have managed to absolutely piss fart around like this. It's a fucking disgrace, and I absolutely hate it. They deserve to take as much of the blame as the manager, and I hope they hang their heads in shame tonight. They will. They cannot be the martyrs for Manchester United's downfall. They can't. I can't even think of exceptions to the rule, because the thing is, even the new players who try so hard, the Fernandezes, the Rashford, the Fernandezes, the Greenwoods, the Tayers, the Van der Beeks, they all tried, but even they couldn't do it tonight. Like I said though, I don't want to, but I feel like because they haven't been at the club long enough, Greenwood's been at the club all his career, but he hasn't been at his best form. But the new signings, for me to like ignore it, that they weren't able to contribute to our fortune this evening. You can't write this stuff. I'm speechless, honestly. I am running out of words to describe this team. I'm running out of things to say about this club when in a positive outlet. Honestly, it's disgusting to be able to watch this team play like this. It's disgusting and go out in such a manner. They have to change, and for the better, because we are not going to sit here as fans and think that we're going to be able to scrape Champions League again this season if we're not capable of beating the caliber of side in the current competition, let alone the next one. Two of the semi-finalists were in our group. We beat them in both our first two games, yet we couldn't do it when it came to the actual moment to secure the 1 point we needed to get into the last 16. We just needed one. But we didn't need to consolidate from the very outset tonight. We just had to go for it. FPL Seconds, Poch in. You might have a shout there, lad. You know what? If you're defending like that, if your manager's asking you to defend in such a manner and to concede such lackluster goals, such lackluster attacking in the general scheme of it, it's just horrible. It's horrible, and I cannot accept this from Ollie anymore. Zonal market crap also comes out to Ollie yet again. Yes, another point. Set pieces for me have been just awful to look at, not only from an attacking aspect but from a defensive aspect, but from the attack as well. In our attack, for some reason, we just can't score from corners or set pieces properly. Honestly, our fortunes from set pieces are shocking. It begs the question again, we need more than just what we have now. Throwing money at our problem is not good, but it's clearly the only solution we have as fans to be able to have some hope for next season. We've ripped up the book and we have to start again. Look, people, I have to tell you this. I'm being straight here. I can't see us qualifying for the Champions League again this season. I can't. If this was our best opportunity with the way the world of football is currently going, to possibly, if there was a competent team and the players were actually on it to go far in this competition, we're now having to drop down into the Europa League, a competition which we are favourites to win, which now puts more pressure on them because they're now the big horse in the smaller pond. Them and the odds as well, we could run into any of the teams that get knocked out from the Champions League as well in the next round is disgusting. We could still bottle it. I genuinely think we could bottle it in the Europa League. So while I will respect the competition because we've been in it before. We've felt the pain of being in there before. We've won it before. We're favourites to win it again. But under this manager, I doubt we'll get far. If we haven't learned our lesson from tonight, we will never learn it in Europe or we'll never learn in the Premier League because we can't get away with winning games like we've done recently. We have to start building momentum for ourselves and stop being scared of the opposition. We've played like we're fearing them. Why are we scared of the opponents? We shouldn't have to be. We should never be afraid of the opponents. Finally, I once again point my fingers at the people running the club. Oh no. FPL again says, if Poch eventually does come, where can you see him improving and how do you think his system would work? I've watched Tottenham play a lot under Pochettino in the last 18 months that he was there, and when they were probably at their prime, the time they were challenging for the title in 15, 16, 16, 17, maybe when they were getting to the Champions League final as well. That time, he had such a let's say the team played for him. They gave everything for him. They did what they could to put his team, put them into a position where they were commanding in games. They had such fluid football. They had such a wonderful style of play. Son was playing Son was on fire. Ericsson, when he was there, was literally running the game from behind those two. Harry Kane scored goals. He's playing a different Ronaldo Mourinho, but it's still, Pochettino could do similar things to this team. But it gets back to the point. We would go through that whole cycle again with the manager. And if the backing he gets is sufficient enough, I don't trust them to back managers that only get one good season of funding and then the next season absolutely nothing, especially with this scenario where we're currently with the pandemic. His system would work in some cases against most teams, but yes, it goes back to the question, can he do it when it really matters? He had that final against Liverpool and it went wrong. It went wrong against Liverpool. He did everything right. I have to cast doubts over any appointment because while it sounds perfect, I don't know if they can take us one step further. Anyone but Ollie at this point is a risk, but even Ollie is a risk, and I'm not sure he's capable of taking us that step further if he can't beat teams like Leipzig and Istanbul Başakşehir. It just bewilders me. So who we bring in next is a complete mystery. It's a complete mystery. I was about to get onto the board again, touching on the fact that they could still bring another manager in the short term. If Ollie's not your man, you let him go and you just bring your preferred candidate in, because it's clear to see he sees he's not being backed. He sees that he's not getting what he wants in the right time frame. He made his frustrations clear allegedly in the media that you're not bringing the players I want in quickly enough, and I'm not able to step this team up one extra level because I'm not getting the men I want. He dilly-dallied a year over Sancho. If Sancho was here tonight, who knows what the outcome could have been. Maybe we'd have gotten a completely different result. But he was playing for Dortmund instead, and they're in the last 16 and not us. So that's clear to see, isn't it? The other, another frustrating element is that they don't have the guts or the audacity to tell us they care. They don't show it properly. They don't give the fans a clear indication. No wonder they want them out. No wonder we want them gone. Them and Woodward's having to be the public relations guy that's taking it on their head, quite literally from the fans, metaphorically, being whacked constantly by the transfer ban. You should buy players. It just doesn't happen. Ultimately, we have already been humiliated once too many this season, and this one is a step too far. For me, Ollie, this season, if he can't recover it, he has to go. If some of these players, that's it for them, in my opinion. Some of these lot have got to move on, and move on fast, because we won't move on unless some of them move on. Or unless some of them step up and show some balls. That's the only possibility I see us stepping up anywhere near a title contender. I don't see us as title contenders at all. I said it last night on the preview. We're not going to be title contenders unless we're first, and first by far. We're not first. We're close to first, but we're not there. And until we get there, and until we're clear like we used to, there's no point even thinking about it. Because again, we take steps forward and then we take more steps back. One forward, two back every time. That's simple logic. And that's what Manchester United are. They take one step forward, and then when one thing goes well and the next thing goes wrong, the steps back are even worse. They're huge. They're not minuscule, they're huge. And Manchester City might just be that. And unfortunately, I can't being here all night, droning on, making my feelings abundant. It has calmed me a little bit, but it won't fix the problem in general. So, I end this review here. I leave here tonight a frustrated Manchester United fan. I leave here with little hope for what Saturday can offer. I also have to stress that some of the elements of this club right now have never made me feel as low as I felt. And we've been in real lows before. This is just a ridiculously poor one, a really bad low. So, if you tuned in, thank you. I'm not used to doing these rambles very often in front of on the internet for free, but like this. But sure enough, I've done it because there's nowhere else that I feel right. There'll be a preview for the Man City game where Cameron and a lot of the other guys will dissect this further and give their thoughts on what has been a shambolic performance. But I will be back on Monday, relatively reluctantly, for the Europa League draw, because we have to find out who we are playing, and then beyond that, we'll have the review on Sunday night for when the Manchester derby comes around. Then the draw reaction on Monday. But for me, here on Traffic Tour Podcast, if you watched it, thank you. Please, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe and share this video if you feel to share the same thoughts I have. It's all ramble, it's all some of it's waffle, but it's mainly me trying the best I can to convey the message that I'm getting tonight, and it's that United are in more than just trouble. They're doomed. United are doomed. So please like, share, subscribe. If you watch this on Twitter, please hit the follow button, like and retweet, share this out as well. But for me, United are out of the Champions League, and I don't know where we'll go from here, to be honest with you. At least we have something worse to look forward to on Saturday. Till then, thank you. Goodbye.